Hey, everybody. Jay Real here with my buddy Brandon. And we've got a good one here, I think, tonight. This is going to spark some good conversation. Um, I'm a big fan of Cody Leach, his channel. And he did what we're going to do tonight. But he had actually taken that from somebody else himself. So I'm stealing from someone that stole from somebody else. So, but um, and of course, I'm old as hell. I'm 59, and Brandon is quite a bit younger than I am.
I'm
So
30, so like
yeah, he's 30. He's
for
about
that.
half my. You're about half my age. I'm 59. So, uh, but you can, when you finish your list, you can comment on mine when we get to that point, because this is definitely going to be several episodes. At least two or three. Um, but we're going to just kind of play it by ear tonight and just go on from there. But the premise is taking every year since the year you were born and picking one movie for each year that's your favorite, that you pick as your favorite. um, and I'm going to be pulling up when we get to certain years, or some years there was a bunch of movies, a bunch of really good movies come out, but and I'll name some like runners up and then name my top film. I don't know if you had any intentions of doing that, but that's what I'm going to do. But yeah, that's what it is. It's your favorite films since birth, uh, by the year. Every year, your favorite film from every year since birth. So, and I'm gonna let you start, Brandon.
Well, I was born in '94, and I picked The Crow. So that was one that's like it was between that or New Nightmare, but I was like I watched The Crow more, so I went with The Crow. Everybody knows The Crow. He gets killed. Good vengeance movie, revenge film.
What was it? Brandon Lee.
Yeah, Brandon Lee, which is
Uh,
actually my middle name, so that's the reason why I like that movie too.
uh, I There was a guy that was in a short film that I'd done 3 or 4 years ago, and he had a big on his back, all across his back. He had a big Brandon Lee from The Crow tattoo, uh, and it was really well done. But yeah, his whole back was The Crow. Brandon Lee was The
Damn,
Crow. Yeah,
that's some dedication right there.
yeah, he was dedicated. Um, and and of course, it's Bruce Lee's son, and he died tragically on set. Tell him what happened.
He didn't it was a blank gun, a piece of shrapnel hit him. And that movie set was pretty cursed because there was other accidents too. So it doesn't. I don't want to say it's at first. You think it's cursed, but you look into it, it does seem like kind of a bunch of irresponsible people. So I don't think it's really a boogeyman that got him or whatever. Because there's some people that think that they put a curse on Bruce Lee and it went to his son. I just think kind of recklessness led to him dying. And it wasn't the guy's fault that pulled the trigger either. I mean, if a prop guy tells you it's safe, you think it's safe and, got him.
Yeah, it was a prop gun and fired, and it was like a piece of, like, it wasn't a bullet. It was like a piece of shrapnel or something.
Yeah, it was.
It came out of the
But
gun.
there's people that got burned on the set because the electricity wasn't right. Some guy got burned up pretty bad. Other people got hurt. So it's just kind of a bad production. But I mean, the film looks really good if you just want to take the movie for its own merits. It's shot well. I like the way it looks. It looks like some kind of macabre comic book. It kind of reminds me of the Tim Burton Batman. It doesn't look real, but it's kind of like cartoony but live action. I dig it.
It's one I need to revisit because it's been a while since I've seen it. I always really liked it, but it's been a while since I've seen it. And did you see the recent Crow?
Oh, I can't bring myself to spend money on that because it looks terrible, and I'm all like, I could buy this or I could go get something else, and I always choose something else because it looks bad. And people who've seen it says he doesn't become the Crow till like the last 10 minutes. So like the whole movie is just about two junkies falling in love, and then they get murdered, and then he becomes a Crow for the last 10 minutes, and that doesn't interest me. Maybe if it was like $5, but I'm not paying no 20 something for it. Hell no.
Well, my sister is chiming in, and my goodness, Kathy. She says, I had a man cross the parking lot tell me he will kill me 3 times today.
Did you tell the police?
Well, I would tell the police, but definitely, we definitely need to talk, Kathy. My goodness, we can't right now, but we need to talk about that. I want to hear
I
the
wonder.
tales.
I wonder, and I ain't trying to sound bad because, when I was in the church and stuff, I'd feed homeless people, but there's certain people that are kind of on the street that you just kind of, the pastor would tell you stay the hell away from them because they're gone,
Yeah.
So I wonder if there's somebody like that,
Well, this is the first I'm hearing about this. So yeah, sis. Well, be careful, sis. And yeah, I would tell the police about this. Someone tell me, yeah. But yeah, good choice. The Crow and what was it? 94. You were born. My God.
Yeah, 94.
I graduated in 84. So how old would I be? 25 or something like that. Good Lord. And you were born then. So yeah. I've been around a while. So, okay. Well, I was born in 1965. And I pulled up a list here and trying to figure out. I mean, I knew right away what was going to be my favorite from the list, but just thinking of some of the other movies that came out in 1965. The Sons of Katie Elder came out.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, the Cincinnati Kid came out. Help, the Beatles, Help came out. That's a fun one. That was kind of a runner-up. Help was like maybe number 2. The Spy Who Came In From the Cold, Flight of the Phoenix came out. Thunderball, James Bond, Thunderball, kitty, kitty.
Hitler mustache.
Yeah, I love the mustache. Yeah, Thunderball. Dr. Zhivago came out in 1965. The Sound of Music. The Hills Are Red.
That's the one my mom would watch. It would get on my nerves, Sound of Music.
I like the Sound of Music. There's some people that just hate musicals. I like musicals. I don't love them.
I like musicals, but it was always on.
And of course,
she wore that tape out.
I got my Rocky Horror Picture Show hat on tonight. I love the Rocky Horror Picture Show and Little Shop of Horrors and Sound of Music. And there's several musicals I like. But anyway, yeah, Help. And hang on. Back to Kathy here. I had a meet and greet with the police. Oh, and I got it on video. Well, good deal. Good, you got evidence. Good deal, Kathy.
Jesus.
Yeah, take care of yourself, sis. Yeah, this is the first time I'm hearing about that. But my number 1 movie from 1965, and there was a time when Clint Eastwood was the baddest motherfucker on the planet. The coolest man that breathed was Clint Eastwood. And I'm picking Sergio Leone's For a Few Dollars More. I watched this last night, and it's what they call the spaghetti westerns with Sergio Leone, Italian directed. And this is Clint Eastwood, and Lee Van Cleef is just almost as cool as he is in this film. And it's about 2 bounty hunters that are after and I think it was Lee Van Cleef that played the other.
Is that the one where they shoot the hat?
The hat, well, yeah, they have kind of, Clint Eastwood is shooting. He's reaching for his hat, and he's shooting his hat, and every time he reaches down to pick up his hat, he shoots it again. And then finally, it's showing off. Clint Eastwood showing off. Shooting his hat. And then finally, Lee Van Cleef takes Clint Eastwood's hat and throws it up in the air, and he's like, bam, 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 and he keeps the hat flying in the air. And it's like, okay, motherfucker, let me show you what I can do.
That's a cool one. I like that one.
Yeah, but Clint Eastwood just oozes cool in that movie and all those spaghetti westerns. But yeah, For a Few Dollars More. It doesn't have the classic, but it has a whistling soundtrack, kind of similar to that. Oh yeah, and I love all those. I love westerns anyway. And I grew up. My dad was a huge western fan, so I grew up with a lot of John Wayne and a lot of Clint Eastwood, uh, and of course Gunsmoke and TV show and things like that. Bonanza. You know, uh, but anyway, yeah, for a few dollars
Yeah, he's
more.
just Clint Eastwood always stare in those movies really good
Yeah,
too. They get a shot of his eyes. He just had like a mean look to him.
and he's a man of few words. He didn't say
Yeah,
much. You look at the script; he just had maybe a page or two of dialogue in these movies.
and it
He didn't
works
say,
though. I don't. It
yeah,
works. You don't need to hear him talk. Also,
and,
I like in those movies when the people talk that the lips don't match because it's like Italian, so
yeah.
it's
When he talks, it matches, but when the others do, it
matches.
doesn't.
Yeah, but when the other people don't,
But yeah, that scene with the hats is really cool. But that whole movie is just shot really well. By Sergio Leone, great director. He directed those spaghetti westerns with Clint Eastwood. But yeah, for a few dollars more, 1965. That's the year I was born, and that's my favorite movie from that year. So okay, Brandon.
my next year was 1995, and I picked Seven with
Ooh.
Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt.
What's in the box?
What's in the box?
What's
And
in the
that's when
box?
those that goes back to our old episode. I got in an argument with a coworker one time that tried to say John Doe was a terrible performance because of what the actor did. Like, nah, two things could be true. He did a good job. He's just also allegedly a scumbag, but he did a good. You can't lie. He did a good job. He did. Or at least I thought he
No, he
did.
did a good job.
Seven's a dark film. I mean, I love that movie. It's just grim and it's like one of those New Line movies before they got too big. Like there's like New Line Cinema, and then like before they got like taken over by Warner Brothers. This is like the pre that.
Yeah.
It's just, and that guy they think is dead. And there's like little air fresheners, and he's like,
yeah.
scared
No,
the shit out of
he's
me.
all emaciated and
Yeah, that scared the hell out of me. And then that doctor's all like, if you shine a light in his eyes, he'll die. There's nothing I could do for him, and he has hell awaiting him or something.
Great
It's an
performance
awesome movie.
by Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt, and the premise of this killer that's using the seven deadly sins as the premise of his murders, and there's some of those kills that are so graphic and grim, and you can smell it. Just like
It's a movie where you can feel the heat. You can almost like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You can smell it. You're just like, ew, dingy, nasty. And sometimes it's like it feels cold because it's rainy and shit. It's a good one. And I'm drawing a blank on John Doe's name, but that dude I thought did a really good job in that film. What was it? God dang, I know he was in House of Cards and all that shit.
Oh yeah, okay. So I should know that too.
I know. We just talked. We did an episode.
We did the show about.
I know. I can't remember his name.
Doing bad things, and all his is a legend.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But even if he did do it, I mean, that doesn't take away that he did a good job. I just wish we would have got more scenes with the detectives and him talking.
It's Kevin Spacey, and R. Lee Ermey's really good in it too.
Arlie, he's good in everything.
Richard Roundtree, Gwyneth Paltrow, and of course Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt. Yeah, that's a really good one. That's another one of those movies, though. I got to be in a certain mood to watch Seven because it's so
depressing. Between that, Requiem for a Dream, and American History X, I went down a dark path.
It's grisly and grim and graphic, but no, that's a good one. That's a good one. Definitely a good one. Okay. 1966, and let me find some movies that were released in 1966. So hang on with me here. Batman the movie, and this was the 60s.
Adam West.
Yeah, with Adam West.
Awesome.
Adam West and Burt Ward. 1 million years BC. Raquel Welch, looking all sexy. And a funny thing happened on the way to the forum. That's another kind of a musical, kind of a semi-musical. Let's see, Our Man Flint. Uh, and just a minute. I'm kind of skipping around here. Um, What's Up, Tiger Lily? That's a Woody Allen film. Man for All Seasons. Um, Blow Up. Fahrenheit 451. Fantastic Voyage, which is, these people get injected into the bloodstream of a guy. He's going to have a heart attack, and so they're miniaturized and they go into this guy's bloodstream to.
Like Osmosis Jones or something.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Raquel Welch is also in that one.
I want to see that. That sounds neat.
You got to see, if you've never seen Fantastic Voyage, you got to see that. That's a lot. It's a lot of fun.
That sounds cool.
Yeah,
I want to check that out.
Let's see. All right, just a minute before I get to number one. Now, this almost was my number one, but I already had a Clint Eastwood Western as my first film. And this one I watch almost as much, if not more. And it's Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? And this is Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton, who I believe were married at the time, I think. They were at least a couple, but they might have been married at the time. And it's based on a play, and I don't know if anyone out there's seen it, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, but Elizabeth Taylor acts her ass off in that film. And Richard Burton too. And they're basically a married couple that just absolutely despise each other. But that's kind of what keeps them. They love to hate each other. That's the best way I can put it. And the dialogue in that movie is just like, oh my God, the things they say to each other and the things they do to each other to make each other feel like shit, basically.
Oh, damn.
And it's based on a play, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, a popular play during that time.
But they do love each other, so it's not like Night of the Living Dead with Harry and his wife, right?
It's a love-hate relationship. They love to hate each other.
Okay, damn.
Their hate is what keeps them together. Their absolute just guttural hatred of each other is what keeps them together. They live for it. They live for the hate. And so it's hard to describe until you see the film, and then you'll go, okay, I understand.
I have to check it out. So it's like a comedy?
No, it's not a comedy.
Damn.
It's not a comedy. And basically they get drunker and drunker as the movie goes on. They're drinking and they invite this young couple, like college age couple or something like that, to come basically get drunk with them. And basically the movie is them all together getting drunk and just being shitty to each other. Anyway, you got to see it. Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf?
I have to check
it up.
I have to check that one out.
I don't know if it's on the Amazon channel or what, but I think it's streaming somewhere. Look it up.
So there's a toxic relationship.
Very toxic. That's a perfect description of the relationship. It is very toxic. And it's mainly just the dialogue between Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton, and just what they say to each other. That's because it was a play, and you can see that it was a play. When you watch the movie, you can see, well, yeah, this was a stage play. And because there's a lot of dialogue and just a lot of just really hateful things they're saying to each other. And but yeah, it's something you need to see. Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? But yeah, that'll be my top film of 1966. So.
Well, okay. My next one is 1996, and this was hard because at first I thought I was going to choose Scream, but I ended up going with Tales from the Crypt, Bordello of Blood, just because I enjoy that one a little more. it's like a whorehouse, but they're vampires. And there's a
Yeah.
televangelist that has to go over there and he has a super soaker full of holy water and he's like spraying them and shit. It's badass. Good fun movie. Something lighter, I had to check out after that weird triple feature I went on. But yeah, that was a good one. But it was hard to choose between that one and Scream, though. But I was like, hey, I like the Tales from the Crypt movie a little more. It
Yeah,
was
that's what
fun.
this is. This is the movies. There may be better movies, but it's
Yeah,
what you enjoy the most.
yeah,
Because a particular year, there may be a movie that's a better made movie or more important or makes a bigger statement or whatever, but it's what did you enjoy watching the
yeah. And
most?
when I went through that list, I'm like, yeah, I like that one the most. Also, I think it's I just seen Scream so many times since I was a little kid, and when you watch something over and over again, it just kind of, I guess you lose a little bit of interest.
Yeah.
So that one's still a little somewhat new, fresh to me. So I went with that one. But
Well,
yeah, I
good.
love that scene where that one vampire, she gets sprayed with the holy water and it's just her legs walking around. She's on fire. Pretty neat.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So that is Tales from the Crypt, Bordello of Blood.
Bordello of Blood,
What year is that again?
1996.
96. Okay. And Kathy says War of the Roses. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, yeah. Was it Kathleen Turner and who was? Oh my God, who is? Shit. Oh, that's terrible. I can't come up with his name. But anyway, um, but yeah, I like War of the Roses. Okay, what year are we up here? We're at 1967. So hang on here. So just a minute. Let me pull this up because I know there were some good ones here. And okay, because there are some really good ones come out in 1967. So let me skip around here and name some here. I always like the Fearless Vampire Killers. Roman Polanski. Um, he's actually in the film, Roman Polanski, but I always like that one. Um, and the producers, Mel Brooks, Zero Mostel, and Gene Wilder. That's a lot of fun. The producers. It became a popular play later on. Um, Guess who's coming again? Guess who's coming to dinner?
Oh,
Stanley
that's a
Tucci,
good one.
Spencer Tracy and Sidney Poitier and Catherine Hepburn. Yeah, that's a really good one. Um, and let's see here. You Only Live Twice. James Bond again with Sean Connery as James Bond. Uh, for a lot of people, that's their favorite James Bond is Sean Connery. Uh, I always really like Roger Moore. Uh, I don't know. There's something about Roger Moore I always thought was really cool. I like Sean Connery as James Bond, but for
Those
a
are
lot of people,
movies that I think are just. I think the James Bond movies are just kind of okay. They're not for me, but I see
yeah,
why people like them.
well, yeah, me too. It's not one that I seek out much, and the ones that the more recent ones, I don't think the last couple I've even seen. So, but I enjoy the earlier ones, and I enjoy the ones with Sean Connery. Um, let's see, Jungle Book came out then, 1967. In Cold Blood with Robert Blake. Yeah,
Ooh, is that the one? Is that the black and white film where they just murder that family for no reason?
yeah, it was based on a true story.
That's a. Ooh, that makes it worse if it's a true story. Because I
It
remember
was a true
watching it and be like, damn, them some mean spirited
story.
bastards.
Yeah, no, yeah, yeah. Barefoot in the Park came out. Robert Redford, Jane Fonda, uh, in '67. Dirty Dozen with Lee Marvin, Ernest Borgnine. I met Ernest Borgnine. Got my picture with him. before he just right like a month before he passed away. He was 95 years old, I think.
Man,
But Lee
did he
Marvin,
charge you?
Charles
Did he
Bronson.
charge you 400? Did he charge you $400
I
like they
think it
do
was,
nowadays?
I think it was $40. Yeah,
I know
for
it's crazy.
the selfie with my phone and a picture, a signed picture, and I got it. What was the movie he won the Oscar for? But anyway, I got him signed that. But he was really
Yeah.
cool. And Wait Until Dark with Audrey Hepburn, Alan Arkin, and Bonnie and Clyde. Oh gosh, Warren Beatty, Faye Dunaway. Great ending where they shoot them and kill them, and a great ending.
Yeah.
Cool Hand Luke, my goodness, Paul Newman, George Kennedy, Strother Martin. That's a great one. But hang on. My favorite of 1967. So hang on just a minute, and that would be Mike Nichols' The Graduate. Dustin Hoffman, Anne Bancroft.
The famous leg scene.
Yeah, the famous leg scene with that leg, yeah. Anne Bancroft, who actually wasn't but just a few years older than Dustin Hoffman, She plays a woman that's supposed to be like 10, 15 years older than him, but she was just a few years older than him in real life, Anne Bancroft. Loved just the mood of that movie, this kind of post 60s, early 70s mood, where you get this, a guy, a college student that's just kind of entering the world and really doesn't know what he's going to do with himself. And he's nervous about the future. And he meets this woman neighbor. Well, he didn't meet her, he knows her. Mrs. Robinson, who seduces him. And so he sparks up an affair with the neighbor's wife and Anne Bancroft. And then, of course, the Simon and Garfunkel music, which is just fantastic. I love Simon and Garfunkel. And I love that music in this movie, the way it's used. But yeah, The Graduate. That's my top film of 1967. So, okay.
Yeah, mine is we're going from 67 to 1997. And like I said, this is just movies that I think are like that I enjoy the most. I'm not saying that this is the best one, but Bean the movie, you ever seen that one?
Yeah.
With Mr. Bean
Mr.
the movie.
Yeah, Mr.
Bean. They send him by accident to the art exhibit to stay with his family, and there's this big deal about a painting Whistler's mother. And it's just a funny movie. It's dumb as hell. It's stupid. It's not the best one that came out that year, but it's the one I enjoy the most. Because there's this part where he sneezes on the painting, and of course, since he's Mr. Bean, he's stupid, so he wipes it and it smears. And then he finds paint thinner, and he thinks it's going to make it better, but it makes it worse.
Yeah.
And so he has to sneak into the art exhibit and try to fix it, and he puts a bunch of laxatives in the security guard's coffee and takes the keys. And so the security guard is shitting on himself while Mr. Bean breaks in and has to fix the painting. And it's a crazy movie.
Oh, no, I always loved Mr. Bean. I this TV show, I always loved Mr. Bean, and I always had a lot of fun with Mr. Bean. I know I've seen that, but that's another one that I need to revisit.
Yeah, it's hilarious because there's one part on the plane to where there's a barf bag, but he thinks it's a bag with air, and he tries to pop it, but it's puke, and it gets all over the dude, and then Mr. Bean's all like, yeah, that's my favorite one from that year. I ain't saying it's the best, but it's my personal favorite.
That's what what is your favorite of that year? And then thank you, Kathy. Michael Douglas, Kathleen Turner, and Michael Douglas, War of the Roses, and Bad Seed. Yes, in fact, I may probably not tonight, but I may tomorrow night or the next night watch the Bad Seed because I see that it's on Tubi or something like that. I found it, and it's been a while since I've seen the Bad Seed.
That's a good one. You know, you got to love an evil kid movie. My only complaint with the Bad Seed is they show everyone happy at the very end of the credits, and I think it just kind of takes you out the movie when it shows them all like smiling and stuff. You know, I didn't like that.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that's definitely a good movie, and I think the reason why Kathy brings it up because Anne Bancroft is she's the mother, I think, in Bad Seed. I think, isn't it Anne Bancroft? I think it is. 1957 Night of the Demon.
That's the one with that big old monster looking thing. I know what she's talking about. And then there's an 80 one that's the demon's like a Sasquatch or something.
But okay, so we're up for me. We're going from the 90s back down to the 60s again, and this is 1968. And I'm going to skip around and name some movies that came out that year. Head, which is the Monkees, I think Jack Nicholson co-wrote the script for Head. I think I may be wrong about that, but I think he co-wrote the script for Head. Very very 60s movie, very kind of psychedelic and very weird but fun, a lot of fun. Yeah, the Monkees, Head, Finian's Rainbow. With Fred Astaire, and Francis Ford Coppola directed that, Finian's Rainbow. And let's see, what else? I don't like saying I'm skipping around here. Let me kind of go up. Yellow Submarine. Now, often I've worn my Yellow Submarine shirt that I got from, what is it? Temu. I've got a Yellow Submarine shirt I wear from that movie, Yellow Submarine. Very psychedelic. It's an animated movie, very, very, very 60s. And of course, it's the Beatles music. And it isn't the Beatles doing the voices, it's other people doing the Beatles voices, but they do a really good job. But yeah, Yellow Submarine. Romeo and Juliet came out that year. Monterey Pop, which is a kind of a pre-Woodstock concert. The documentary Monterey Pop. Oliver. Well, yeah, that's a fun movie. And for me not having this as my number one, some people are going to say, what the fuck, J. Real? Night of the Living Dead came out that year. And we could do a whole show just talking about Night of the Living Dead. But that came out that year. 1968. George Romero's Night of the Living Dead. Planet of the Apes came out, based on a story by Rod Serling of The Twilight Zone. He didn't write the script, but it's based on his story, Planet of the Apes. Damn you to hell! And of course, the Statue of Liberty and all that. Great movie, Planet of the Apes. The Odd Couple. Yeah, Jack Lemmon, Walter Matthau. Great film, a lot of fun, very funny. The producers, Mel Brooks, Zero Mostel, Gene Wilder. Rosemary's Baby came out that year.
And that's a creepy one.
It is still not my number one. Roman Polanski, Mia Farrow, John Cassavetes, Ruth Gordon. I love Ruth Gordon in Rosemary's Baby. But yeah, Rosemary's Baby in 1968. Once Upon a Time in the West. Here we go. Henry Fonda is a motherfucker in that movie. Man, he's such a badass. And it was rare for Henry Fonda to play bad people, to play a villain. That's really the only movie I can think of where he plays the villain. He might have been some other.
He was a villain. Wasn't he the devil in Ghost Rider with Nicolas Cage, that cheesy Marvel movie?
I don't know. That's a good question.
I think he was, because they kind of, yeah.
Sergio Leone again, doesn't have Clint Eastwood in this one, but it's Henry Fonda, Charles Bronson. Charles Bronson's, man, he's cool as hell in this one. Charles Bronson, But yeah, Once Upon a Time in the West. But my favorite film from 1968 is 2001: A Space Odyssey. Can you see the poster behind me?
A little bit.
Where is it?
I'm looking on a
Oh,
smartphone,
it's
so
over
it's not
there.
the biggest
Okay, no,
screen.
it's not inside here. But anyway, uh, I don't
That's
know where
the scenes in that look like it's really in space. It's crazy.
it's Stanley Kubrick. Uh, I don't even know where to begin with this film. This
I
movie,
can't
I watch
I
it
can't
probably
do
once a
it.
year. I watched 2001: A Space Odyssey. It is one of my all-time favorite films. And like you say, when you watch, watch the SpaceX launch today, watching things like that, and you see actual footage from the ISS and stuff. This film, what was it? 1968. It
It
looks
looks
so
real.
It looks like it was shot in space. It looks so realistic. Um,
I can't do that, Dave. Or what?
and Hal the computer that you know you know stop Dave and but there's so many scenes in that film that are so just visually stunning, and the ending. I've never been on LSD, but I feel like I've been on LSD when I see the ending.
Yeah,
the,
it's
the
psychedelic.
the last like 30 minutes of 2001: A Space Odyssey is like
So do
taking
you
an
think so you think he
acid.
directed you think he recreated some of the moon landing footage since that movie looks so real?
Well,
'Cause
that was been one
that's
of
a
that was one of the,
conspiracy.
that was the rumor that Stanley Kubrick uh, actually did the moon landing, actually filmed that. That they actually didn't go to the moon. That was Stanley Kubrick did that.
Maybe
Uh,
they didn't. I mean, he
but
convinced me in that film. That shit looked real. Like that looked like NASA type shit. So
it
maybe he
does.
did do the moon
It
landing.
looks so realistic, and like I say, the mood of the film, beginning with early, Neanderthal man, I guess you'd say. They're kind of like ape men, and you get the what do you call it? That metal thing. What was that called? That this big metal thing appears. It's flat, it's square, it's tall. Uh, what do they call that damn thing? But anyway, the primates, the early humans or ape men, they're around that, and it gives them the ability to learn how to use tools. You get that ape man, it's hitting that bone on it's like a skeleton of a tiger or something, and he's smashing them bones down. Um, and the most famous edit in movie history, where he throws that bone up in the air, and you see this bone flying through the air in slow motion, in the circular, and then it cuts to this cylindrical space station. Uh, from the bone to the space station. It jumps, 100,000 years or whatever. And that's considered one of the most, if not the most famous edit in movie history. Uh, but anyway, love the movie, love that music. Da, 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 da.
It's why you
And
shouldn't trust artificial intelligence either.
yeah, and here we go again. A movie that was made in 1968, and now all this thing about AI and artificial intelligence, how the computer was, how many years, 50, 60 years ago, was early version of artificial intelligence. But yeah, 2001: A Space Odyssey, 1968. That's my top film of that year. So, okay.
Well, my next one is 1998, and it's American History X, which is another like dark one, to where it's Edward Furlong's older brother is Edward Norton, and he's a neo-Nazi, and he kills someone who breaks into his car, and he goes to prison. And then when he gets out of prison, he's basically, he doesn't believe in the Nazi shit no more, and he wants to get his little brother out of it, but he has to get kind of back into it to try to put a stop to it. And it's a very good movie. It's one of those films that I wonder if it'd be made today, because since they are Nazis, they say all kinds of racial slurs and all kinds of stuff. But it's a good film. It's disturbing, and it's called American History X because the principal wants Edward Furlong to write a paper about his brother and stuff, because the principal's black and he's trying to get him out of being a racist. And like I said, there's all kinds of crazy shit in it.
Just the idea of this kind of hell he created, he's trying to
prevent for his brother,
prevent or dismantle, but no,
and it's one of those ones that, like I said, it's like one of those old school New Line movies before they got, I guess, what would you say, too mainstream, because they would take chances with a film like American History X or Blade or some of those really weird movies,
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like one of the, like when I think of New Line, I think of like the stuff from the 80s or 90s, and that's a good one right there. And of course, it does go bad at the end, and I think that's one thing that some of those New Line films did really well, because even with Seven, other studios wanted to change the ending, but New Line kept it the same, and that's like one of the most iconic things ever. So
yeah.
Having American History,
a downer ending or a grim ending, that was a choice. That was a risky choice, even then or now or anytime. That's a risky choice to do that, because it's like, well, the audience don't want a grim ending, they don't want a sad ending or a bad ending, but to stick to their guns and make the film that they want to make.
Also, the monochrome cinematography and the black and white's really good in it too. Like, I'm a sucker for black and white, so when it shows the like the past stuff and it's in black and white, it's real, really well shot. I like it.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's a very dark movie, but how else would it end? Of course it would end bad,
Yeah. And what was the year again?
98.
98. Yeah. American History X. Great one. And thank you, Jim. The Monolith. That's what that thing is called in 2001. The Monolith. And I keep forgetting that. I always forget. And when I think about, I don't have room for anything to display anything like that, but I would think that if I ever owned a piece of movie history, a prop, that's what I would want. The Monolith from 2001. But of course, I'm sure, be several $1 million to own such a thing, if even one exists anymore. But Monolith. Okay, we're going to go back down to 1969 for me, and let me skip around here and name some films that came out. Paint Your Wagon with Lee Marvin.
I like that one.
Yeah, and Clint Eastwood and Lee Marvin. And let's see, The Wild Bunch, Sam Peckinpah, William Holden, Ernest Borgnine again. And he liked, Sam Peckinpah liked to show violence. And so, when people got shot, you saw the squibs and the blood splattering and stuff like that. He was one of the early people to do that, to use squibs and use not really gore, but, if someone got shot in the chest, you see the
instead of like the John Wayne, it got me or something,
Yeah. Well, that's the one thing I'll say about the Clint Eastwood movies. At least, me watching that one last night for a few dollars more. Someone gets just filled full of holes, but you see nothing. You don't see any blood. You don't see, there's a few shots. You see some blood, but you see people getting, shot several times in the chest. You don't see any bullet wounds. You don't see the holes. But Sam Peckinpah, he liked to do that. He showed blood splattering, and he showed the effects of a bullet hitting the body. Let's see. Goodbye, Mr. Chips, Peter O'Toole, and Hello, Dolly, Barbara Streisand, Walter Matthau, True Grit. Here we go, John Wayne. Fill your hand, you son of a bitch, or whatever. What's the word? What
Yeah, and then old Lucky Ned Pepper, he's like, I shot him in his lip. You shot him in the lip. Where were you aiming at? His upper lip or whatever. He said something along those lines. Isn't Glenn Campbell in that too?
Kim Darby, who I met briefly, she was at one of the Texas Frightmare weekends. Kim Darby, I said like a word or two to her, just said hello to her. I didn't get her autograph, but I met her. Met Kim Darby. True Grit, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. My gosh, Paul Newman, Robert Redford, George Roy Hill, but anyway, and Midnight Cowboy, which won Best Picture that year. Dustin Hoffman, John Voight, John Schlesinger directed. About John Voight's going to be a hustler. He's going to be a male prostitute and
gigolo.
Be a gigolo. Things don't go well. And him and Dustin Hoffman living in this old apartment,
nasty apartment, yeah.
Yeah, and just like cooking stuff over like a fire that they made in the kitchen, and just starving to death. Great film. Dustin Hoffman's great in that. John Voight's great in that. Yeah, Midnight Cowboy. But my favorite film from 1969, Dennis Hopper directed and stars, Easy Rider.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. Peter Fonda.
Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, Jack Nicholson. Jack Nicholson it was a star-making turn for Jack Nicholson. It was the movie that kind of put Jack Nicholson on the map. He had made,
and he was the square of the group too, wasn't he? If memory serves.
Yeah. Wearing that was it a football helmet when he's riding the back of the motorcycle, wearing that football helmet. But yeah, that was the movie that it was a star-making turn for Jack Nicholson, Easy Rider. But anyway, very 60s movie. Has a very 60s
soundtrack.
Feel. Absolutely fantastic soundtrack of Jimi Hendrix and what is it?
The Birds, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then what was the song? Born to Be Wild. Born to Be Wild. And great soundtrack.
Isn't who else is in that? There's a bunch of people in that movie, ain't there? Like big stars and shit.
Who is it from?
Was Karen Black in that or no?
Karen Black's in it. In fact, I think Karen Black and Jack Nicholson were kind of like a little thing at the time. They had a thing going, I think, at the time. But yeah, Karen Black's in it. I'm trying to think who else was in it, but there was a bunch of probably in cameo roles or small roles, people that you would recognize.
I had someone tell me one time, because I always thought that Jack Nicholson's character died because he got beat the worst. But then I had someone tell me that they thought it was because since he was a normie, they wanted to make it look like the hippies killed him or something. And so when I watch that movie, I kind of think of it differently. Like maybe they killed him because they wanted to send a message, like not to go around them people or something.
Well, I think what it was is just they were just going after the hippies, and I just think he just got it first. They were just after the hippies, and they were just thinking because he's with the hippies, they think of him as a hippie because he wasn't a hippie. He was just kind of, like you said, kind of a square guy, just like a normal guy. That he got into a lot of trouble. I think he was in jail at the beginning of it.
Yeah, they're in.
Kind of a troublemaker, and just sort of trying to find his way, and he gets hooked up with these two hippies, and that doesn't go. Nothing goes well for the hippies at the end. Pretty much everybody dies.
Yeah. So was hatred for hippies really that bad back then, or like how was?
Well, it was just very hick town, because it's like, hey, you goddamn hippies, and it's So I don't know if it was just that big of a hatred for hippies, but where they were at, there was, at this
And
little
then there's
spot.
like this. Doesn't the guy that kills him at the end? Doesn't he have like a big old knot in his throat or something?
Yeah, they had that big shotgun. It was
Shotgun.
back in the day where everyone that drove a truck pickup had a shotgun in the back window, hanging in the back window, had a shotgun. uh, but uh, but anyway, that's my top film for 1969, Easy Rider. So,
Okay, mine for 1999. That was a hard one to pick because at first, I was going to lean towards Blair Witch, but I ended up going with a documentary called Beyond the Mat about pro wrestling, and it shows the different wrestlers in different stages of their careers. And of course, one of my favorite, Terry Funk, is in it. And of course, Terry Funk retired like a million times, so it's fallen into like one of his first retirement matches because he wrestled into his late 60s. It's ridiculous, but it's cool. And it's I always remember he's like, Dusty Rhodes, you an egg shucking dog. And he just started it's a cool movie about wrestling, and it goes behind the scenes and shows different stuff and how they are in real life. And it's a fun one. I'm a big fan of documentaries too. So I'm a sucker for a good documentary. And like I said, Terry Funk, that's just one of my favorite wrestlers too. So just to see him doing that, and he's all talking, oh, Cactus Jack my ass, and Dusty Rhodes is an egg sucking dog. Yeah, I love that movie. That's a good one.
and name it again. The movie
Beyond the Mat.
Beyond the
So
Mat.
it also, if you're a fan of Dwayne Johnson, he's in it too because he was The Rock in WWF, so you kind of get to see him before he got real famous and stuff.
Oh.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let me catch up here. But Kathy is talking to Jim there, dealing with severe anxiety, which raises up sometimes. Yeah, yes, yes. Hope you get better soon there. But yeah, Thomas says Mad Magazine called it Midnight Wow Boy. And he also says Phil Spector, the music producer, was in it. The Easy Rider, I think. Yeah, I didn't know that. So, okay, so where are we at here? We're at 1970 for me, and I was around 5 years old in 1970. So let's skip around here, and find some movies that come out in 1970. The Out of Towners, Jack Lemmon, Sandy Dennis. Let's see, Scrooge, Albert Finney, Alec Guinness, and it's a musical version of Scrooge, which I enjoyed that version. It's not my favorite version of Scrooge, but I enjoyed that one. And let's see, just a minute. Oh yeah, The Bird with the Crystal Plumage, Dario Argento. If you're a fan of those Italian horror films or giallo films, that's one of their favorites. I don't even know if I've ever seen it. I need to see it.
I
But
don't know if
anyway,
I have either. I like Deep Red, so I'll have to check that one out.
but yeah, Dario Argento, Bird with the Crystal Plumage. They Call Me Trinity, Terrence Hill, Bud Spencer. And let's see here. Catch 22. Mike Nichols directed that. Alan Arkin, Martin Balsam. Five Easy Pieces. Speaking of Jack Nicholson, that's a great performance by Nicholson in Five Easy Pieces. Karen Black's also in that. So I think they were kind of a couple, him and Karen Black, and so he would bring her aboard in some of his films. And but yeah, Five Easy Pieces. Little Big Man, Dustin Hoffman again, where he plays and great makeup by Dick Smith makes him look, like 100 years old. That makeup they did on Dustin Hoffman at the beginning, where he's talking about, with being raised by Native Americans. And, he wasn't Indian himself, but he was raised by them and sort of became one, being raised by them. Little Big Man. Kelly's Heroes, Clint Eastwood, Telly Savalas, Don Rickles. And what a lot of people might think this would be my favorite of the year, but it's not. But I really like it. Patton, George C. Scott, Cole Malden, about George S. Patton and World War II. Great film, great performance by George C. Scott in Patton. But my favorite film of 1970 is Robert Altman's MASH. Donald Sutherland, Elliot Gould, Tom Skerritt. And it's during the Korean War. And of course, it became a very popular TV series after this. But it's about a mobile army surgical hospital, MASH, during the Korean War. And anyway, just I think it's a great movie.
Isn't that one more serious than the TV show though?
I would say so. Yeah, it's funny, but
because I remember my grandma used to watch the TV show on like TV Land or something, and then I saw like the movie with my dad when I was younger. I'm like, where's the jokes? Like I just didn't. I don't know.
It's definitely more serious. There's definitely some funny moments in it. Donald Sutherland, Elliot Gould, Tom Skerritt. Let's see. Who is it? Oh, shit. Who else was in that? I can't think of right now. But anyway, great film. Robert Altman. I always liked his directing style, Robert Altman. He almost went sort of almost a documentary style in some of his films, and he does that in MASH. But no, that's my favorite movie of 1970, MASH. It's right up there with Patton, but it rises to the top.
George C. Scott and Patton, though, he's just one of my favorite actors. He's just kind of like a old grumpy bastard, Even like in Exorcist 3, he's just like a grumpy old man, I like George C. Scott. He's cool.
One of the best beginnings of a film is Patton, where you get Patton walking in front of that flag,
American flag. And, Jackass made fun of it for one of their movies.
Okay, you sons of bitches. And and he gives a sort of a pep talk, I guess, to the troops, but one of the best beginnings of a film is Patton, and with that music. But anyway, MASH is my favorite film of 1970. So okay.
Well, mine, the next one is the year 2000, and I actually rewatched it last night, Requiem for a Dream, and that was a trip. If you're not on drugs, it'll make you feel like you're on drugs watching it. It's Marlon Wayans is in it, Jared Leto, Ellen Bernstein. I forgot the girl. I forgot the woman's name who's in it, the younger one, but she's a good actress too. And it's just a bunch of people dealing with addiction. Jared Leto and his friends are on heroin and doing coke, and Ellen Burstyn's trying to take these diet pills, but they're also like speed. So it's like she's taking legal meth, which is making her lose weight. And she's all like, gets worse and worse. And the fridge starts attacking her in her mind, and she starts hallucinating, and it just goes bad. It doesn't end up good for anybody. It just goes bad. The young woman starts selling herself sexually for money. Jared Leto loses his arm from shooting up. Marlon Wayans winds up in prison. Actually, I think Jared Leto's in prison too, because they both get caught. So he's in prison with one arm, and poor Ellen Bernstein's character winds up getting electroshock therapy at the end. And it's just, don't do drugs. If you want to get people.
And one of I don't think she did. I think she was nominated. I don't think she won, but she should have won the Oscar or Best Actress for that performance. Ellen Burstyn, and of course, she's a great actress. And of course, The Exorcist plays the mother in The Exorcist. But just a fantastic performance by her.
I felt so bad for her because she's such a sweet old lady, and she wants to go on that TV show, and she won, and it just gets bad,
Well, when you get these calls, I get them. I don't get them as bad as I used to, but you get these calls on the phone, and my phone will red flag it that this is they're trying to get your money here. This is, just a damn scam. My phone will find them and said, but this is likely a scam or something like that. And Ellen Burstyn gets a call from this guy saying, hey, you've won a prize and we're going to have you come on television and get your prize and all that, And it's a damn scam. They just want to, try to get her money for something. I don't know. But the whole thing is just, you can tell it's a scam, but she buys into it. She thinks she's going to be on TV and she's going to get this prize. And so she wants to fix herself up. She's this elderly lady, and she lives in this apartment with these other old women. And, she tells them, I'm going to be on TV. I won a prize. I'm going to be on TV. And so she wants to look right, so she gets on these diet pills. And she starts to just lose all this weight, and the makeup they do on her, where her cheeks sink in and her eyes sink in, and she starts to kind of lose her mind on these diet pills. And another form of addiction, her being addicted to the diet pills.
Yeah. They did a good job of making everyone just look sickly as the film went, because Marlon Wayans, he looks horrible, and unfortunately, I know people who are like drug addicts and have like meth addictions and, not too much heroin, but meth. And it's like, yeah, it changes the way you look. And like Jared Leto, they all just look sickly and just bad towards the end of the movie. And it's just like, really, yeah, they did a good job on that. Because if you ever seen someone who's strung out on like drugs, the eyes are sunken in, they all gross looking, and they did a good job. It's a crazy movie too. Like I said, they steal the TV and they will it. It starts with them willing it across. So they steal her TV, and Ellen Burstyn has it like handcuffed to the radiator because she doesn't want Jared Leto stealing it to pawn it for drugs. And it's just a crazy movie, man.
It's a movie that I think is excellently made, but it's a movie that I can only sort of take in every couple of years because it's so grim. It's so downbeat, and
I felt exhausted afterwards. It's one. It was one that when I was going through Google, I'm like, damn, I ain't seen that in a while, and I want to watch that again. And I was like, damn, now I'm depressed. And that music too is pretty creepy.
It does. It takes a lot out of you, that one. Yeah, but that's a great. But yeah, that's a great one. And let me catch up here. Thomas says a cameraman died filming Catch-22. He got sucked out of the side of one of the bombers, and he wasn't strapped in and didn't have a parachute. Good Lord. Damn, what a way to go, Jim Stevens says. And he says, on MASH, the cast read the script, then improvised a lot. The screenwriter was furious, but accepted the Oscar for it. And Sean says, my favorite Altman film has to be Long Goodbye or The Player. Oh, I love The Player. Yeah, I love The Player. That's another really good one. But no, that's a good one. Requiem for a Dream, but it takes a lot out of me to watch that one. So
they call it a dream, but it's a freaking nightmare.
Yeah. The movie is a nightmare, and it basically is. If you've ever thought about trying cocaine or heroin or something like that, watch this movie first, and then.
Shit, I don't even want to take diet pills. I got rid of my vitamins. Fuck that.
Well, my mother, I think this was the 70s. Kathy, I don't know if Kathy's still here, but my mother got on those diet pills. And they did. She lost a lot of weight, and she was really high strung. And yeah, my mother got on those damn diet pills. And so in watching the movie and watching Ellen Burstyn, I really could connect with that because I remember poor mama being on those damn things. She finally got off of them, but yeah, bad shit, those diet pills back in the day. I don't know if they still make them damn things. But okay, I'm up to 1971. And I'll name some films that came out then. I love this one. It's not my number one, but the abominable Dr. Phibes.
Oh, Vincent Price.
Yeah, I love the movie. I love him in that film. He doesn't talk. He talks through a speaker in his neck. But yeah, great film. A lot of fun. It's kind
good
of
makeup for the time too.
Yeah, the makeup
He
they
has all
do.
that shit all over him.
But of course, I love Vincent Price in pretty much anything. But yeah, and the sequel too. Was it Doctor Fives rises again? Uh, but Willard and this
That's a
was
good one.
yeah Bruce. I met Bruce Davison, by the way. I met him. I got his autograph. Got a picture with Bruce Davison at one of the Frightmares. Real cool guy. Uh, but a guy that's he's a social misfit, and his only friends are a bunch of rats, and one of them being Ben.
Ben and Socrates.
Yeah, Ben and Socrates. And Ernest, once again, the year I met Ernest Borgnine, he was there too. It was Bruce Davison and Ernest Borgnine, who plays his boss in Willard. Uh,
So,
and
did you like which one did you like better, Willard or Ben? Because I always kind of went back and rewatched Ben a little more, but Willard's really good. I like that one.
I think I like Willard more because it's creepier. It's yeah. Ben is a little lighter, a little more lighthearted.
It's more like instead of a boy and his dog, it's a boy and his rat.
The boy and his rat, and it's got the Michael Jackson song,
Ben.
Yeah.
That's why I like it.
Yeah, got the Michael Jackson. But yeah, I prefer Willard because Willard is more gritty, more of a horror film, more, I like Ben, but I prefer Willard. Billy Jack, Tom Laughlin, came
Oh, that's a
out
classic.
1971. Bedknobs and Broomsticks. That's another kind of a fun Disney. I think it's a Disney film. Angela Lansbury. And Play Misty for Me. Great. Clint Eastwood.
Oh, I love that one.
Clint Eastwood.
That's a good one.
Stars in it. That's yeah. He's a disc jockey, and he's stalked by this woman that yeah.
I love it. She kidnaps his wife and is like, "I want you to look pretty because I want him to see what he's taking to hell with him."
Jessica Walter, yeah, and great performance. Yeah, Jessica Walter.
And I love when he punches her and she flies out the window. That shit was awesome. He's just like, bam, and she flies out the window.
Here we go. Great song, Richard Roundtree, Shaft. Yeah. A crime lord hires black private eye John Shaft to find and retrieve his kidnapped daughter. Shaft. Yeah, that came out.
We should do a blaxploitation episode. That'd be awesome. I like those movies.
Yeah.
Even though we're both white, but I like Blackenstein and Blackula and all that stuff.
Yeah. What was it? Coffee.
Coffee. If you want to get modern, I guess you could do Jackie Brown. What was the one that was like, "You're under arrest, sugar"? What was that one? You want to talk about? It was like a black lady.
What was it? It wasn't Jackie Brown. It was something else. It was something else Brown. Was it? Wasn't it? Oh God.
Foxy Brown. Was it Foxy Brown?
Yeah.
Brown. You under arrest, sugar?
Yeah. Hero is another version of the I Am Legend story. And of course, the Vincent Price, Last Man on Earth was a version of this, but the Omega Man, Charlton Heston.
I bought that DVD from Half Price Books. That's a good one. I like that one. Yeah.
It's fun. It's a fun movie, Omega Man. But yeah, that's another version of I Am Legend, And here's I don't know if I'm going to say the movie right. I'm going to say enough S's for it, but Sweetback's badass song. Melvin Van Peebles, who directed and stars in it. Sweetback's badass song. Fiddler on the Roof came out then. George Lucas's THX 1138. Kind of a science fiction, pre-Star Wars, kind of, sort of a weird movie. Kind of, has a weird mood, but I like it.
So when you say THX, it makes me think of that scary noise that I don't like.
Yeah. Well, he named the sound organization of the THX, from that. But THX 1138. Robert Duvall's in it. Donald Pleasance is in it. And let's see, McCabe and Mrs. Miller, another Robert Altman film. Warren Beatty, Julie Christie. The Andromeda Strain came out then. The first film, once again, we're back to Clint Eastwood. Dirty Harry came out then.
Oh, that's
Don
a good
Siegel,
one.
Yeah. Don Siegel and Clint Eastwood co-directed, I believe, Dirty Harry. Harold and Maude, Ruth Gordon, Bud Cort. Kind of like this old lady has almost like an affair with this young kid.
Is that the one to where it's like I know what you're talking about. I haven't seen the film, but I bought a book. It was like 100 movies you have to see before you die, and the synopsis for that, I was like, "Ew."
Well, you know the old lady from Rosemary's Baby, the
Yeah.
neighbor. That's Ruth Gordon, and it's her and Bud
Yeah,
Cort.
but it's like a romance, ain't it?
It's almost like a romance, but it's definitely, if you haven't seen it, you need to see it. It's a really good movie. It's funny, it's sweet, it's touching. Bud Cort plays this kid that's always faking suicides. he's always depressed.
What?
He fakes these elaborate suicides, and his mother is just like tired. It's like, oh, stop that, you know. And he stages these elaborate suicides, you know, fake suicides, that this freaks everybody else out. But his mother is like, would you stop that? You know. But anyway, Ruth Gordon's great in that. Harold and Maude. Straw Dogs, Dustin Hoffman, Sam Peckinpah directed that. You have Dustin Hoffman and his wife. They come to this rural England town, and then they're harassed by these like neighbors or something. It's really creepy and very effective.
It kind of reminds me of like the hillbillies and I Spit on Your Grave that attacked that one woman, but they're just attacking him and his girlfriend. But they're like, aren't they like UK? They're like UK hillbillies or something, or
I think
something
so.
like that.
It's in England or in England. Yeah, it's one that I need to revisit because it's been a while since I've seen Straw Dogs. But anyway, Last Picture Show, Peter Bogdanovich, Jeff Bridges, Sybil Shepherd, Timothy Bottoms, The French Connection, William Friedkin, which won Best Picture that year. Gene Hackman, who, God, the way Gene Hackman passed away was just terrible. That it came in, him and his wife and his dog were found dead. And it turned out his wife had died like a week before he did, but he had advanced Alzheimer's. I guess he didn't even know the woman was dead. And,
oh, Jesus.
And he couldn't feed himself. I don't know what all the details are. Because he died of some kind of cardiac arrest. She died of some kind of disease you catch from rat feces. You know, oh God, it's just terrible all around. That what happened to Gene Hackman. He was like 95 years old, and they found them all. They found him and his wife and his dog dead. And they finally, after all the autopsies and all that, figured out what happened. That she had been dead like a week before he died. And I guess he was out of his mind with Alzheimer's. He didn't know what was going on. I guess maybe he didn't even know she was dead. And I don't know if he could feed himself or get water or whatever. I guess the poor dog starved to death. You know, just
Oh man. Did you hear about with the French Connection on certain streaming services? They were editing out the language in the film because they felt it was like too offensive. So a lot of the stuff Pai says is cut out, and it's just like, leave it alone, you know?
Oh God, yeah. Well, I hate that. Just the very idea of that, you know, just show the fucking film and yeah.
I bet Freakin's rolling in his grave with that happening. Yeah. I bet.
But anyway, Gene Hackman, Roy Scheider, great film. One of the best car chases ever filmed. French Connection. That car chase is just still holds up. It's great cinema. And he made this. Of course, this is the film he made before The Exorcist, William Friedkin, and he won best picture. So, and another great movie. It's not my number one. A Clockwork Orange. Are we okay there, Brandon?
Sassafras attacked me. So, okay.
The cat's dismantling everything.
No, she just jumped and attacked it. Okay, calm down.
But A Clockwork Orange, Stanley Kubrick, Malcolm McDowell, what they do with his eyes, those things that clamp onto his eyes, and making
the drops.
Maybe putting the drops in his eyes. Man, that looks like that hurts. That's another one I met in person. Malcolm McDowell, I met him. Real nice guy. But yeah, Clockwork Orange. But that is not my number one. My number one movie of 1971 is Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. That's the movie. It's one of my comfort films. That is a movie I can just put on and just let play in the background. Gene Wilder, my favorite performance by him, that one and Young Frankenstein are two of my favorite performances by Gene Wilder. And just love the movie, love the music. It's kind of a musical too, but I love the music in it. And just everything about it. It's just a movie.
The boat scene.
The boat scene that's really creepy and well, what would they show in the background? They show like
it's weird.
It like a chicken getting its head cut off or something.
Weird eyeball and creepy crawlies.
Great performance by Gene Wilder. Just one of his all-time best performances is Willy Wonka. But like I said, I love everything about it. I love the music. I love the look of it. It's one of those feel-good movies. It's funny. His performance, Gene Wilder's performance, is just almost a little creepy, And it's like, don't stop. I love his performance. I love the movie. But anyway, that's my number one.
The Oompa Loompas with their songs and shit. Yeah, that's kind of a secret horror movie. I kind of think of it as. I think of that and Wizard of Oz as being kind of horror films.
Yeah, with the Oompa Loompas and Gene Wilder's performance as being a little unhinged.
The fat kid gets stuck in the chocolate tube, and
the girl, when she grows and gets fat, eating that candy that makes her swell up. Like I say, it's got almost a sort of a horror movie feel to it in places, But anyway, that's my top movie of 71? Am I up to 71 now? Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
2001. I picked Jeepers Creepers just because that's just a fun monster movie, And I don't know how to feel about that film because when you watch it, is it scarier before you know he's a monster or not? Because to me, I like when you find out he's a monster, but to me, that's when the kind of the scariness goes away because then he grows wings and he's like a bat and shit. But it's kind of a mind fuck, because they run him over and you think he's just a crazy guy. Then he starts sprouting wings and flying around, and it's fun. It's a fun movie, and I like that part when God dang, Sassy, what I do? You whipping my ass.
To me, the scariest part of that film is when he's pursuing him in that pickup, in that truck, that diesel truck.
Yeah, and he's just chasing him down.
Yeah. To me, that's...
And then they're at that diner, and that lady's like, "There's someone in your car, and he's sniffing your underwear, and it looked like he liked it too." It was funny. And all those bodies that are down in there. Yeah, it's just a fun, dumb movie. And yes, I know the director's a piece of shit, but I'll judge the film for what it is.
Yeah, well, that's one of those movies that sort of tests you're separating the art from the artist, because we did that show talking about that.
Yeah.
And that's the movie because it's just such a good movie. So it's so well done. The creeper is such a cool character. And it's just so well done as a movie that I can.
I also think it's how you grew up. Like I grew up watching that movie on tape, and I didn't even know who the hell Victor Salva was. So when you grow up watching something, maybe it's different for people who, I guess, are younger and have access to the internet. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good. It was hard to choose between, because Jason X was one I thought about putting on there because that's just a dumb, fun movie too. But I went with Jeepers Creepers.
Well, yeah. No, that's a good one. That's a good one. Okay. Now we're at, what about 1972? And let me skip around here. This one, just like the musicals, and I'm a big fan of the group Pink Floyd live at Pompeii. Always really enjoyed that, them performing at Pompeii. The Heartbreak Kid, Charles Grodin, Elaine May directed that. Shaft's big score, the sequel to Shaft, Richard Roundtree. Silent Running, Douglas Trumbull directed. I really enjoyed that with Bruce Dern, with them little robots. And it's kind of a sci-fi film. But yeah, Silent Running.
That sounds interesting.
Brian De Palma's Sisters with Margot Kidder and Jennifer Salt. Very creepy, very Hitchcock-esque. Because, that's what they said, that he copied Hitchcock a lot, Brian De Palma, in his earlier films. I definitely can see the influence, but I always thought he had his own distinct style, Brian De Palma. But yeah, Sisters is a really good one with Margot Kidder and Jennifer Salt. Play It Again, Sam, Woody Allen, Diane Keaton. But he didn't direct that. Herbert Ross directed that. And as far as if you're going to pick what is the most gruesome ending to a film, some people may pick this next film, and that would be John Waters' Pink Flamingos.
Oh, that's a great film with the egg lady and the turd and all that stuff. Yeah. I was explaining that film to some coworkers, and somebody walked by. I was like, "What the hell are you talking about?" I'm like, yeah, there's these lesbians are trying to steal these babies to give them to sell them or something. And then there's a drag queen named Divine that's like the filthiest person on the world, and they're like, "What the hell?" They talking about?
She wants the title of the filthiest person alive. It's a title she wants. She wants to be. And what is it? The Eggman.
For the egg lady.
The egg
man.
Yeah,
the Eggman's coming to bring me eggs. Yeah, it's a crazy movie. I love it. I love it though.
Yeah, but anyway, Pink Flamingos, John Waters directed, of course, Divine, and yeah, that's a movie that it's not going to be for everybody, but if you're on board, you'll enjoy it. You'll enjoy Pink Flamingos.
72 was the same year Last House on the Left came out, right?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't see it here, but it may very well be. But Frenzy is one of Alfred Hitchcock's last films, Frenzy. And it isn't my number one. And that's another one they're going to say, really? It's not your number one? Nope, it's not my number one. I love the movie. The Godfather, Francis Ford Coppola, Marlon Brando, Al Pacino, James Caan. I love The Godfather. There's some people that have that at the top of their list of one of maybe the greatest movie ever. It's not my favorite film, but I think it's a really good movie, very well made.
You come to me on the day my daughter to be married. Yeah.
And of course, Marlon Brando at the beginning. Here, hold your cat. Hold your cat like Marlon Brando.
That's what I'm trying to
do. Yeah. He's petting that cat. Hey, you don't even call me Godfather.
You don't call me Godfather. And you asked me to kill this man. You say you want just. You and you don't even come to call me no friendship, and you say Don Corleone, I want justice. I love that movie. Have you seen the behind the scene photos to where they had the they had the actors wearing like cue cards because Marlon Brando didn't learn his lines or
He
something.
never did, and that's something. Even very late in his career, he never learned lines. He would have someone behind the camera with cue cards strapped to them with the lines, or like on their face, taped to their face and shit, And he'd read the lines. He never did learn lines, Marlon Brando. But yeah, of course, it's a classic. Godfather 2. They both won Best Picture. Godfather 1 and 2. But my number one movie, my favorite film of 1972 is John Borman's Deliverance.
Oh,
And
that's a great one.
John Voight, Burt Reynolds, Ned Beatty. One of the best performances by Burt Reynolds. And I remember when I first saw Deliverance, it was one of the movies of the week, They showed, around 7:00 at night. And I saw Deliverance. I think I watched it with my mom and dad. I don't know if Kathy was there with me or not, but we watching Deliverance. And it gets to the infamous scene in the woods where you get these, backwoods hicks coming upon Ned Beatty and, and take them panties off. And,
Squeal like a pig.
Yeah,
They showed
like
that on TV.
Squeal like a pig,
So
squeal. And
so was that uncensored on television?
They showed enough that you knew something was up. Now they didn't show everything because there's parts where you see the crack of Ned Beatty's ass and shit. I'm sure they cut that because like I say, it was so long ago I can't remember. But I just remember vaguely. I remember, Daddy, what's going on? And Daddy being like, "Well, son, they're trying to." Make love to that boy or something like that. He's trying not to say exactly what's going on. And I remember he's kind of trying to not tell me exactly what's happening, but make me understand it, Because in 1972, I would have been, 6, 7 years old. So I was enough to understand about something like that if it was explained to me. But anyway, great movie. Filmed great. It's very tense. Great performance by John Voight and Burt Reynolds. Like I say, probably
the
my
banjo
favorite.
boy.
The banjo, just everything about it is just really well done. But yeah, John Voight, Burt Reynolds, Ned Beatty, Deliverance. John Borman directed, and then one of the best movies ever, and then he went on to direct one of the worst movies ever, and with The Exorcist 2.
That we have to talk about that sometimes because that movie is an experience, and that's just a weird one, and Locust King, and just really weird shit. And the soundtrack, that's one of those soundtracks that's got on my nerves.
But yeah, Deliverance. That is my. What year are we at here? 1972. That's my favorite. Yeah,
my only problem with Deliverance is Burt Reynolds didn't have his iconic mustache in that movie, but everything else was good.
Yeah. But anyway, that's my top movie of 1972.
In 2002, I picked old Mothman Prophecies. I love that shit. You see the Mothman?
I don't know if I've seen that.
Mothman Prophecies, and his wife gets brain cancer and dies, and he winds up in this hillbilly town, and the Mothman is trying to. I don't know. You don't really know if the Mothman's trying to warn him or if he's just fucking with him about stuff. But it's a weird movie, and it's like. Yeah, the Mothman calls him on the phone and tells him what's in his pockets and all kinds of crazy shit. And then there's a big bridge collapse, and it's an awesome movie, man. It's a Mothman Prophecies.
Well, what type of movie would you describe it? Is it like a
horror, science fiction? horror, science fiction, drama. But it's a real creepy movie. But he winds up like in this town, and they're saying the police are talking to him like, "Why are you knocking on people's doors and stuff?" And he's like, "I just got here." And in his mind, he was in New York, but it turns out that he drove halfway across the country. So like the Mothman's trying to lead him to stuff, and then the Mothman is warning him about the bridge, and he's trying to get everybody to get off the giant bridge before it collapses, but no one believes him because he's crazy.
I've got to see that then. Mothman.
It's a Mothman, and then he's driving his car, and they have a wreck, and then that's how he finds out his wife has brain cancer. And there's one part in the movie to where they're like, "Your wife before she died drew angels," and they pick up a picture of these scary, shadowy figures with red eyes. And I'm like, "Those ain't angels. What the hell?"
My goodness. Well, I need to see that. I don't think I've ever seen that. Let's do some catching
up. The Mothman Prophecies.
Mothman Prophecies. Okay, Thomas says the studio wanted Lee Remick to play Misty, but Eastwood had seen Walters in a movie called The Group and wanted her. It was the first movie he directed. And he says, Get Christy Love was the You're Under Arrest Sugar. It was an ABC movie and series. Oh, okay. And what am I up to here? 1973. This one took some thinking, because when I named some of the films that came out this year, we spoke of the blaxploitation, and we spoke of Coffee. Pam Grier and Jack Hill directed Coffee. Came out in 1973. Jesus Christ Superstar. And I watched this movie recently. It's a musical about Jesus Christ, and because it was a famous musical, and I watched it, and I had two words after I finished: hippie bullshit.
Jesus Christ.
No, hippie bullshit. Oh. That's what Jesus Christ Superstar is: hippie bullshit. Hippie religious bullshit, or hippie, it's okay. I like some of the songs. It's a musical. There's some of the songs I thought were okay. I thought it was well done, well shot. Norman Jewison directed. But yeah, just the overall film was a bunch of hippie bullshit. Francis Truffaut's Day for Night was shot then, came out then. The Way We Were, Sidney Pollack directed, Barbara Streisand and Robert Redford. The Way We Were. Let's see. Sleeper, Woody Allen. Westworld. I have a lot of fun with Westworld. Michael Crichton directed. Yul Brynner. Yul Brynner's great in Westworld. Live and Let Die. There we go. Another James Bond film. Where Roger Moore. It might have been his first, the first one that Roger Moore did. Live and Let Die. And let's see. American Graffiti. Once again, George Lucas, Richard Dreyfuss, Ron Howard. It takes place during 1962. You get a bunch of high school students in 1962. I enjoy that, American Graffiti. Let's see. Mean Streets, Martin Scorsese, Robert De Niro, Harvey Keitel. Mean Streets. The Last Detail, Jack Nicholson, Hal Ashby directed, Randy Quaid. Really like Jack Nicholson's performance in The Last Detail. And Randy Quaid's good too on that. Serpico, Sidney Lumet directed, Al Pacino. Serpico, about the cop, the police officer, Serpico. Enter the Dragon, Bruce Lee. Yeah. Robert Klaus directed Enter the Dragon.
Isn't John Saxon in that too?
John Saxon, Jim Kelly. Once again, Clint Eastwood. This is another one he directed, High Plains Drifter.
Oh, I love that one. That's a good one. That's one to where the ending blew my mind to that movie. I was like, damn.
What is it again? The ending, because it's been a while since I've seen
He's like
this.
a ghost. He's like a ghost or something, ain't he? Because he paints the town red. The bad guys come, and he's almost supernatural. Like he's picking them off with like a whip, and it's almost like he's like a slasher villain or something. And then at
Huh.
the end, they're like, "Oh, it was him." Or something. I'm like, so was he a ghost or am I just stupid? I don't know, but I thought he was a ghost.
Well, I'm reading the
So
description here because it's been a while since I've seen this. A gunfighting stranger comes to the small settlement of Lago and is hired to bring the townsfolk together in an attempt to hold off three outlaws who are on their way. So yeah, that's but of course it's another western. Clint Eastwood, he also directed. Um,
there's a midget in it too, which is cool.
well, you're not supposed to say midget. You're supposed to say what can you say? You can't say midget anymore. What can you say?
Well, I was
Dwarf.
at wrestling. And there was a midget wrestler, and he said, "Don't call me a little person. I'm not a child. I'm a midget." That came from a midget wrestler.
Okay,
Because
okay.
so I'm just saying he was scary, and I didn't want to fight him or nothing, So I was like, okay, he's a midget.
Why you can say midget? I'm not fighting you on it. You can say midget, but I'm just saying the stuff you're not supposed to say anymore, and that was one of the words. But what are you supposed to call him if you can't call him a midget? Dwarf
A little
sounds
person.
worse. Little
A
person.
dwarf is a mythical. A dwarf is a mythical creature. So you know what I'm saying? That's a dwarf.
Yeah.
And a little person sounds like a kid, So I'd be mad if I was, had that condition and someone called me a little person. But like, I'm a grown ass man. Call me little person.
Call me midget. Oh, so midget. Midget is the better of all of them as far as the is what you're saying. Um,
Yeah.
Another classic, The Sting. George Roy Hill, Paul Newman, Robert Redford, Robert Shaw, The Sting. And Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid, Sam Peckinpah directed. Paper Moon, which really sort of influenced Dawn, my movie Dawn. Paper Moon was one with a father and daughter. That kind of the mood of that movie kind of influenced me making Dawn. Paper Moon. Ryan O'Neal, Tatum O'Neal. I think maybe Tatum O'Neal won a Best Supporting Actress award, Oscar award for that. I'm not positive, but I think she might have. Badlands, Terrence Malick, Martin Sheen, Sissy Spacek.
That's the one where that's a weird one because wasn't that the one? Was it Martin Sheen or what? Like the guy was way older than she was, and they murdered her dad or something.
Yeah, Sissy Spacek, Warren Oates, an impressionable teenage girl from a dead-end town and her older greaser boyfriend embark on a killing spree in the South Dakota Badlands.
And she only gets probation at the end of the movie, and I'm like, what? But whatever, yeah, that's a crazy movie. My mom showed me that. She's like, you need to watch this weird movie about this pervert getting this young girl to murder people. And I'm like, well, okay, let's watch it.
Papillon. This is Steve McQueen, Dustin Hoffman, Franklin J. Schaffner directed. But come on now, who wouldn't have this one as their number one movie of 1973, and that is The Exorcist.
Ooh, I get chills. I get chills thinking about that movie. I love that movie, and that's my favorite movie of all time. And I love the book too. The book is really good if you haven't read it.
I've read it, but it's been a long time since I read it. I need to reread it.
There's stuff in the book that's not there's dialogue in the book that I don't know why freaking never used it in the movie, like how she caught they're all in the swine and the Burt Dennings voice comes out more, and I don't know why I guess he just decided not to use some of that stuff, but
and once again,
the book,
Linda Blair, Max von Sydow, and who plays Damien, the father?
Jason Miller.
Jason Miller.
Was it? He's one of my favorite people too, and the Ninth Configuration. That guy's great.
Yeah, William Peter Blatty directed that Ninth Configuration. Because he wrote The Exorcist, but he directed that. And seeing this movie over the years, the first few times I saw it, I was more taken with the shock value of it. Of course, the stuff with the masturbating with the cross and the head spinning and and then vomiting on Jason Miller, and then, but now when I watch it, I'm more, I'm to me this is the lead character in the movie is Jason Miller's character, the priest. The movie is about him. It's about
that's why it's called The Exorcist, because he's the exorcist.
It's about his crisis of faith. His mother dies. He's losing his his belief in God, and and then there's this little girl possessed by a demon, and he's called upon to help save her. So he has to struggle with this crisis of faith and step up to the plate with him and Max von Sydow, this old priest.
Well, I don't know about you, but like I said, we didn't have internet for a long time when I was a kid, and my parents didn't care what I watched, but this was one that they were kind of hesitant on me watching. But anyways, when I watched it, I thought he was just an old man. I didn't know they took a young guy and put makeup on him. I was blown away when I figured that out. I was like, "Damn, that was makeup." Because it looks like an old man, like you wouldn't even know.
Of course, I don't have a 4K player, but I've talked to people that have got the 4K version of The Exorcist that said you still can't tell. In 4K, you still can't tell that that's makeup.
Because I always felt bad. I'm like, "Damn, they made that old dude fall down and shit." Like.
But it was Dick Smith, the makeup man, Dick Smith, and like I say, I talked about Little Big Man, what they did with Dustin Hoffman. He turned him into this old man, but yeah, Dick Smith was, and that was one thing he really excelled at was old age makeup. Dick Smith, he did, of course, he did all the makeup. He did he did the spinning head and did everything, but.
Well, yeah. It's a story of faith and sacrifice, because you got to remember, I saw it was actually on EWTN, which is crazy, but I guess it's not when you think of the story. But William Peter Blatty was on EWTN, and he said it's a story of sacrifice because remember, Damien never met Reagan. He only met the demon, so he's given his life for someone he never even met. So that's kind of the whole point of it. And I know that he said on the EWTN, which was like a Catholic thing, that he was upset kind of with Friedkin about the endings. He didn't want people thinking evil won. So I guess that's why they had that. What was it? They recut it or re-released it or something?
The version you never saw or something like that. And, with the spider.
Which I prefer.
It's got the spider.
I prefer that. Yeah. I prefer it. That made me shit my pants when I was a little kid. When she.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that version's okay to watch as just as a historical document, seeing scenes that weren't in the original. But I much prefer the original cut. The theatrical cut is my favorite cut of the film.
The ending does go on a bit in the extended one, to where like they give the medallion or whatever, and then she hands it back, and they kind of go back and forth with it. So I kind of could see that, because the ending does go on for a while, and then you see Detective Kinderman at the end with the other priest, and I like that part of it because it kind of sets up the characters in Exorcist 3, even though it's different actors. But yeah, there are certain scenes that do kind of just go on in the extended one. That's like, yeah, you can kind of trim that,
Well, like I say, I prefer the original cut. It's much tighter. It's the best version to me of The Exorcist. But
it's funny. The scene that scared me the most is when he's listening to that tape recorder, and then the phone rings and he jumps. Like, that always got me.
Well, for me, the scariest one is when Ellen Burstyn's having that conversation with the police officer. And can I have the autograph? He gives her an autograph, but he wanted it for himself. It says for my daughter, but for me. And it's a real kind of a calm scene. And then as soon as he leaves and the door closes, you hear that and she runs up the stairs, and you get that Jesus fuck you, and you get all that. To me, that's the most shocking moment of the film, and it just comes out of nowhere.
To me, it hits you because like it comes out of nowhere, but. Whenever I watch a movie, I like to put myself in the character's shoes. If I was her, I would have been going to get Kinderman's ass. Ain't no way I'm going up there myself. Fuck that.
You hear that? bam, and
And
then
that's what bugs me. And not to beat a dead horse, because I know we talked about this several times on this show, but that goddamn Exorcist believer, to where she's like, I didn't know she was possessed. I didn't go. It's like, you went up there and you seen that. Like, what do you mean you don't know if she's possessed?
that movie commits so many crimes. Yeah,
But
but
she
yeah,
spins her head around, shit flies around the room. I mean, how much more proof do you need? And then she goes to the priest because she's like, my daughter's possessed. And he's all like, yeah, right, whatever,
but there's so many. God, it's almost, to me, the original cut is just almost a perfect film. There isn't a low
It's the
point.
greatest. It's the greatest movie of all time, in my opinion.
It's your number one, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's so many scenes, and do you know what she did, your cunting daughter? And
do you, because I know there's big controversy, and I know Linda Blair gets
oh gosh,
real pissed about it when you call it a horror. Trying to get her drama, because it is a drama too. It's both.
I think I would call it a horror film, because to me, there's nothing more horrific than losing control of your body, than having something invade you and take over your whole.
Or think about it, like I don't have kids, but if you had a child and that was happening to your child, it really gets to you. And there's that one scene, I don't remember if it's in the theatrical one, but they're asking Jason Miller, Damien, he's saying like, why this little girl, why here? And he was saying because it wants us to lose hope. It wants us to, it wants to affect the people around you. So Reagan's really just a pawn,
I think that's the extended cut where I do really like that conversation between the two priests. They're sitting on the stairs and they're having that conversation. I really do.
Sassafras is making noise like the Exorcist. Cut that shit out. I don't want to hear that shit.
But yeah, one of the greatest. It's your favorite. One of the greatest movies ever.
Yeah, and it's and I don't know. Maybe it's because I grew up with a version you never seen before, but I like the Pazuzu faces or whatever that weird shit is. It's just like
I don't. And I met what's her name that did the Pazuzu face? What's her name?
Eileen Dietz.
Eileen Dietz. Yeah, I met her in person. She was a real nice lady. I met her at one of the Frightmares, and talking about ask her, what all did you do in the film except for Pazuzu? Because she was selling a picture of Pazuzu. She could sign for you. I didn't get her autograph, but I should have.
She did quite a bit, didn't she?
The stabbing in the crotch, I think that's Eileen Dietz. I think when she's floating, I think that's Eileen Dietz. When she
the puke, part of the puke was her, wasn't it?
I think that's Eileen Dietz when she pukes, and when she slaps her mother in the bed after doing the thing with the cross, and then she slaps her. It's behind her. That's Eileen Dietz. Because she looked like she looked like her physically. She looked like her. So she doubled for her in a lot of shots. And I think, I could be wrong, but I think when she's rising from the bed, I think that's Eileen Dietz. But I could be wrong about that. But I know when she slaps her, it's a shot from behind and knocks her down to the floor. Yeah. So that's Eileen Dietz.
I was reading a book somewhere that when they're going to do the Academy, they didn't want to put Linda Blair for Best Actress because of the voice actor, because they're saying that kind of affected the performance. How do you think about that? Because I think they do have a point, though, because that voice is kind of what kind of sells it too,
What was her name again that did it was an actress?
I forgot. Damn, I forgot her name, and it makes me so mad because without her, I don't know if it would work as well. Because if you go on YouTube, you could see scenes to where it's Linda Blair's voice, and it just doesn't work as well as with, I mean, it's creepy, but it's not as scary because it catches you off guard when Damien Karras goes in there and she's like, and the devil, or whatever it was. It's just a real good voice.
Mercedes McCambridge. McCambridge. Yeah. And she was an actress. She was in Giant. She was kind of a short woman. She was in several movies. She was an actress.
She smoked cigarettes, drank whiskey, ate
Yeah.
raw eggs. The poor
And ate
woman
raw
went through
eggs.
hell.
And it's a freaking had her doing all this shit, smoking. She stopped smoking, but had her chain smoking cigarettes and eating raw eggs and stuff to make her voice all raspy. But yeah, Mercedes McCambridge, yeah, did the voice of Pazuzu. And here's another thing, because I don't remember. It's never, to my knowledge, ever mentioned in the movie. Now you see, the elder priest. You know, he gets that. And when he's out in the archaeological digs or whatever, and he sees this amulet or something like that, of which is Pazuzu, and then you get the shot of the statue. It looks like it's got a damn erection. Great
It
shot.
does, because that's his penis. His penis is a snake. Pazuzu's an actual demon.
But
he has a penis snake, or a snake penis.
I don't recall the name Pazuzu ever mentioned in the movie. So how do we?
It's in the book.
It's in the book. Okay.
It's been, and the statue you see like this with the snake, that's a real statue, and it's actually Pazuzu has an appearance in a 1922 film called Hacks and Witchcraft Through the Ages. So if you're an Exorcist fan, keep your eye out for Pazuzu, because it's a real demon. Pazuzu's a real demon, and what Exorcist Believer, they didn't tell you in Exorcist Believer, which is another sin he committed, Lamashtu in demonology is enemies of Pazuzu, because Mesopotamian people would have Pazuzu amulets to keep Lamashtu from causing miscarriages and stuff. So Pazuzu was good to certain people, but evil to others, and Lamashtu was kind of, and they would fight. But would that be good film? Well, I shouldn't say that because I'm a wannabe, but like, oh, this demon in this mythology we have, or demonology, whatever, religious stuff, we're going to make it Lamashtu, but we're not going to tell the audience it's Lamashtu, even though we should, because Pazuzu's the demon in the other one. And if you're going to make three of them, you can maybe have, what if one girl was possessed by Pazuzu and one was by Lamashtu? I don't know. Why does two of them have to be possessed in the first place? But if you are, and you're going to bring all this stuff into it, use it. You know, it makes no sense.
And I like how Pazuzu tries to manipulate the Father Karras when he goes in there and she's strapped to the bed and he's talking to her, and it says, "Well, my name is Damien Karras and I'm the devil." You know, at first, you know, it says I'm the devil. You know, of course, you know, kindly undo these straps. You know.
Or can you help an old altar? Can you help an old altar boy, or whatever it was?
Anyway, he sees that homeless demon early in the film,
and then the demon does the voice too.
Yeah, and of course, and we're stretching this out because this is one of the greatest movies ever. So we're going to stretch this out.
And the more I like, and the more I love on this movie, the more I'm kind of just hating on that other one, because you have the demon Lamashtu, and
and of course, one of the most impactful scenes in the movie is they're putting Regan through the
X-ray thing,
the whole medical procedures. I had one of those done because I was coming very close to passing out, and where I would like go to like Walmart, and I had to squat down and get on my knees and just put my head down. I was going to pass out. And I think what it turned out to be is I was playing a PlayStation 2 game that flashed. And I think it was fucking up my brain, this flashing game I was playing. But anyway, I went and had one of those head scans done. And it is just like in The Exorcist. It makes that bang, 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 bang sound. And, you know, you're in the dark and you can't move. And it's like 30 minutes where you have to be perfectly still when they scan your brain. They didn't find anything. Like I said, I think it was this damn video game I called. But that's so well done, and one of the most
the neck got me is when they injected her in the neck, remember? And he's like, "Don't move," and it spurts out. Yeah. And that's one of those things to where, you know, the medical, that might be the scariest shit in the movie, though, when you think about it.
Yeah.
And the tube, it's one of those things to where, thank God I never had that happen to me. Knock on wood, hope I never do. But before my mom passed, she had to go through all kinds of crazy tests, and some of that shit's just real, just ugh, it's like the medical shit's scary. And then what the thing about that film is, the whole feeling of hopelessness you kind of have too, because she's going through all these doctors, and they're like, we can't find nothing. It's psychological, and or maybe it's a temporal lobe and all this stuff, and it's just real kind of scary stuff. And if you put yourself in her shoes, you're like, what would you do if that was your kid? You would, it'd be an awful, shitty situation.
Well, yeah, and the the freaking shot a lot of the movie kind of like a documentary. It has a look and feel of a documentary. A lot of the movie, particularly with the all the medical treatments that she's having.
Or even when they run up the stairs and the camera's almost like following them as they're running up the stairs. That scene to where the doctors are there, and it is crazy because back then cameras were huge, right? So like they had to kind of like
early uses of Steadicam of that.
So that was, it's almost like you're running with them. And that's another thing too. What's behind that door? Every time you see that door, you're like, oh shit, what's going to be behind there?
Well, I don't know. Oh God.
Not beyond the door. That's a different one. But like behind the door, the good door.
Let's see. Where we go. Let me turn it. There we go.
Oh, the Exorcist poster. Yeah.
There we go. And that's one of the most iconic shots in movie history. Is that priest standing outside of the door and that light coming from the Reagan's window and lighting him up.
It's almost, I describe that scene to people as almost being like a gunslinger or a duel or something, instead of a stagecoach dropping him off, it's a taxi, and he goes up there, and hell, the demon calls him out too. Pazuzu's like, Marin!
Marin!
Yeah.
Fuck it, Marin!
It's a great scene. It's a great scene. I love that movie. And there's that real creepy shot where Marin's like laying back, and you see like Reagan's going like this, and you see the statue behind her, and he's like, "Oh shit!"
And you see the shot of Pazuzu's statue, super.
Yeah.
Oh God! Well, yeah, one of the all-time best movies ever. Yeah, definitely.
I could talk about shit. We could do a whole show on The Exorcist. I could talk about that movie from beginning to end. I love that movie.
We'll wind down with The Exorcist. So keep your next one, because we're definitely going to do 2 or 3 more.
The one thing that freaking did Blatty probably did it since he did the screenplay. In the book, Reagan has books on witchcraft, and of course the Ouija board that's in the film. So I guess maybe that is one thing that I think in the film that they omitted that was, I guess, kind of better. Because that's why Damien Karras is a psychiatrist too, and he's like, well, there's all these books on witchcraft and shit, so maybe she's just kind of crazy, because he doesn't believe that she's possessed at first until he starts seeing the shit,
Well, but there's things even early on, like her doing the voice of that homeless guy, would you help an old father? And then starts speaking backwards and stuff. It's just like, well, okay, there's something.
She's possessed. It's a trope. It's a trope now, but how many times in exorcism movies? Oh, the church won't approve. We ain't got time for the church to approve. You know what I'm saying? I feel like in this movie it's done better because they're skeptical, but then they're all like, well, yeah, and it's not like this movie's so good. And there's so many others that I feel like this genre has been kind of beat down,
Well, yeah. And of course, anything that comes out after this movie, even now, that's like about possession or about anything like that.
That's my best. I haven't seen the movie. I haven't seen the movie yet, but I got that book. I'll have to check it out when I finish with Psycho.
And yeah, just there's so much about this movie. Like, we could do a show just about this movie. And
I wouldn't mind doing the franchise because I like some of the sequels. I know I'm in the minority. I'm one of the few people that actually likes Exorcist: The Beginning.
I like Exorcist 3. I didn't care for any of. I didn't care for the prequels. I didn't care for them, but it's been a long time since I've seen them. So, but I really like Exorcist 3. Of course, George C. Scott, great in anything.
Brad
And
Dourif.
yeah, Brad Dourif. Yeah, one of the best performances by Brad Dourif. And but yeah, we'll end with the Exorcist. That's a good way to end. Well, the next one we'll pick a day here pretty soon to do part 2
Yeah,
of this.
it'll give me some time to do some more research because at first I'm like, oh, I'll just do some Googling. I'm like, damn, a bunch of movies came out in 94, 95.
Yeah. But yeah, like I say, this is one we definitely could talk about again. I wish that I know the extended versions on streaming. I don't think the theatrical cut is streaming, and right now I don't have use of my DVD player.
I have a VHS copy that's a theatrical cut, but like I said, the one I prefer is the extended. But I do like the ending. There's things I like about each one. I like the scene with the priest where they're talking about why is this happening, but the ending is a bit long in the tooth in the extended one. That's one of the few times I agreed with Siskel and Ebert to where they're like, okay, we need to kind of wrap this up.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, we ought to try to get some. We ought to try to get someone on that doesn't like The Exorcist though when we talk about it because my dad, I was shocked. He's like, oh, this movie's damn boring. I don't like it. And I'm all like, what?
That is the criticism that a lot of people, particularly modern audiences, have is that it's boring. It drags. It definitely is a slow
character development.
Yeah,
I know Rambo Raff didn't like The Exorcist, and that blew my mind.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I saw that, but he didn't like The Exorcist. I saw that when he talked about that. But let me catch up before we sign off here. Let's see. Thomas says, from Paper Moon, she won and was the youngest winner of the, I think, of Best Supporting Actress, I think. Badlands was based on an actual killing spree by Frugate Starkweather. Starkweather.
Yeah,
O'Neill was the youngest winner. Yeah, Tatum O'Neill, and the Springsteen song "Nebraska" is based on the Frugate Starkweather murders. Virginia Gregg did the voice on The Exorcist. Well, that was at Mercedes McCambridge is when I.
What's that thought too?
The X-ray techs in The Exorcist were real. One of them was an actual murderer. I heard about that.
Oh, yeah, I did too.
Yeah, was an actual murderer. Freaking talked to him on Rikers Island because he was the killer on one of them behind the killings in his movie Cruising. Yeah.
If y'all ever want to talk about cruising, I need to dust off my leather daddy outfit. I have a hat and a leather jacket somewhere.
Yeah. But yeah, God. Yeah, we'll have to just do a show about The Exorcist. We practically have here done it.
I could do a show on just Friedkin movies because Friedkin had a really good career and it's diverse too. It's not just scary shit. You have your Rampage. I don't know if you've ever seen Rampage, but you have Rampage and The Exorcist, but you also have French Connection. And didn't he do some basketball movie or something too?
Yeah, what's the name of that basketball movie? And what
Blue
was
the
movie he made after The Exorcist about they're shipping the what was it? Was explosives?
And it's like the poster is a van on a rickety bridge.
Yeah, what is that?
Sorcerer.
That is a fantastic movie. I put that right up there as far as filmmaking, right up there with The Exorcist, as far as a piece of filmmaking. There is shit in that movie. It's like, I don't know how someone didn't die doing this.
Probably because they just took a chance and did it. Because back then, were they as strict? I don't think so. Because French Connection looked like he just
that bridge, And there's so much shit in that movie where they blow up this tree to get this tree out of the way. Uh, and Sorcerer, yeah, that is a great movie, and one
French
that's really
Connection looked like he
underrated.
just went on the highway, so it wouldn't surprise me on French Connection if he just said just drive around or something. You never know.
Yeah.
Sorcerer, I need to revisit that one. That was a good one.
But yeah, that is a great movie, Sorcerer. But okay, we'll end on that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And whenever we do that Exorcist episode, I have a stuffed animal of Linda Blair of Reagan from The Exorcist I got from Target. It is the cutest little thing. It's scary looking because she's all possessed and shit, but it's like a little Cabbage Patch, like a stuffed animal.
What
Has
was it?
little vomit.
Did what is it? The pop figures? Did they ever come out with the Exorcist?
Yeah. They have a little Pazuzu one. So he's like that with his little paw up in the air. There's a Pazuzu one, and then there's a Reagan one that has some vomit on her and shit.
Yeah. I'd like to get those. But okay, Brandon, stick around here before I sign off. But all right, everybody, thank you. Everyone that has chimed in here, Thomas, Sis. I need to talk to you, Sis, about what you're going through. Jim, and Fosrotten, everyone
Sassafras.
Yeah, Sassafras, and everyone that's chimed in, please hit that thumbs up. And we're definitely going to do another one and continue our list here of our favorite films every year since birth. And yeah, this has been a really good one, and we got Sassafras's butt there. And
God dang, she likes the camera. She wants the attention.
Oh, I love Sassafras. That looks like the sweetest kitty.
Yeah.
I want to just keep it on to keep it Sassafras.
El Santo, if I could ever get him to, but nah, he don't like the camera.
But thank you. Yeah, thank you, Jim. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, and please hit that thumbs up, and we will do this again soon because we've got we're going to continue with our list here, but we'll see you guys soon. Y'all have a good one, and keep tuning in. Bye-bye.
Bye.